He said, Paul a servant, James a servant, Peter a servant, Timotheus a servant. My subject tonight is in the form of a question. The question on the floor is, wouldn't you like to be a servant too? Wouldn't you like to be a servant too? Paul, a servant. James, a servant. Peter, a servant. Wouldn't you? Look at your neighbor. Ask your neighbor. Wouldn't you like to be a servant too? Now, they may retort, I already am. I already am. I preach. I'm an usher. I work in the dance ministry. I work in the food bank, children's ministry. Oh, I'm a servant. I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to refute the statement. But we must be certain of whose agenda we're serving under. We must be certain of whose administration we serve under. Hallelujah. It's not always those who are seen out front who are the greatest servants. But sometimes those servants serve behind the scenes. They're not singing in the choir. They're not preaching. They're not out there in public view prophesying. But they're in their secret closet praying. They're fasting, turning the plates down. Wouldn't you like to be a servant too? Hallelujah. You know, unlike servants who serve in restaurants and they have no regards of the ramification of sloppy service, we who name the name of Christ are required to serve in the same manner as he who called us. Yes, sir. They can serve with dirty hands. We can't. They can serve and have negative issues and drama. We can't. They can serve with their own motives and agendas. We can't do it, saints. We can't. We have to do it the way God has shown us by example to serve. And it calls for humility. The man of God this morning was talking about how selfish the saints are. I could spend a week there and write a bestseller about the selfishness of saints. I never thought that I would live in an hour where we became so self-centered. It's about us. It's about ours. It's about what we do and what we want. But it's from the pit of hell. The enemy of our souls are deceiving us. Servitude is a matter of our attitude lining up with his will. Let me say that again. Servitude is a matter of our attitude lining up with his will. The will of God, whatever his will is, we're to say, yes, Lord. Somebody talked about how we want to sing and don't want to go scrub the bathroom. We want to be out front, but we don't have the spirit of humility. Now, in the original writings of the Bible, slave was used in place of servant. And the King James and all those who translate it, they put in the word servant. But slave was interchangeable with that word. And the disciples themselves identified not as servants, but as Jesus' slave. That word is heavy. Because we know that a servant, one of the definitions is one who is of use, a helper, aid, who contributes to the welfare of others. That's one of the definitions of servant. One who is of use. One who is of use, who contributes to the welfare of others. But a slave is a person held in servitude, submissive to a dominating influence. I want you to hear that word, submissive to a dominating influence. Now, since the words are interchangeable, let's just put servant on the back burner for a minute. And my question is, since the disciples call themselves Jesus' slaves, Paul a slave, James a slave, Peter a slave, wouldn't you like to